Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tattoos with Intention podcast, where we unpack the tattoo paradigm. I'm your host, Mark Nara. So we have a tattoo artist this episode. His name's Shane Gallagher Coley. I met him last year. He was passing through Sydney and reached out to myself, and we had a chat about a few different things, which were pretty spectacular. And he has a lot to illuminate for us around the role of particularly ancestry in our tattoo journeys. So he's from New Zealand. He's a spiritual tattooist and energy healer. He brings together the ancient combination of spiritual connection, healing, and tattooing to raise his clients' vibration so they become more balanced, more connected, and they can just experience being a human in a fuller way. So he lives on the Gold Coast in Australia. He specializes in Maori, Tamoko, Kiratui, Polynesian, Celtic, Nordic, Aboriginal, Filipino, Mendi, black work, large graphic body designs. And in this chat, we obviously talk about history, as our month indicates, but we talk about a few different other things as well, which are super interesting, like divination, using tattoos for healing or therapeutic benefits, and what we need to have in our awareness moving into tattooing in our current day and age, and the relevance of things that have been used in times past and where we're at today. So without any more rambling, I hope everyone enjoys this episode. Definitely worth listening all the way to the end as we get more comfortable and into the conversation. And I'll have all of the links to Shane's work below in the show notes. So definitely hit him up if you want to expand on any of the conversations we open up. Very friendly guy. If you want to get any work done by him, he's a technically very proficient tattooer. He's been tattooing longer than I've been alive, which is pretty spectacular as well. And a thank you to you, Shane. Appreciate the chat, mate, and look forward to chatting to you down the line. All right, enjoy. Well, thanks for joining me, Shane. Appreciate it, man. And,
all right. Thanks for contacting.
That's cool. Well, I mean, thank you for contacting, because if we backtrail a little bit, it was you reaching out when you came to Sydney. We teed up that first time that really started the conversation that we're having. So I appreciate that. So yeah, maybe we'll just start with a little bit of your own history and story and just introduce yourself to the people listening anyway. I'll have all of your links up at the end of the chat, but we'll just keep it easy and just maybe tell people how long you've been tattooing, how you got into it, and what you're doing now. Just an overview so people know who they're listening to when we get to the history stuff.
Yeah. I'll try and keep it as short as possible.
Yeah, and we got time too, bro. So
there's a lot under the belt here. So my name's Shane Gallagher Coley. I've been tattooing for 34 years now. I guess where did I start? I didn't really think about becoming a tattooist. I was always good at art, but I never thought I'll actually taking up tattooing. And back then it wasn't as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
The initial thing was I was staying at a place. This is back when I was like 17 or something like that. I was flatting in like a punk house, and this guy just got out of prison and was staying with us, and he thought there was another guy with us that was flatting with us, and he wanted this guy to tattoo him. So he made up just a homemade prison tattoo machine, and he built it out of a tape-deck motor and bent spoon handle, and
yeah.
I've
seen those ones. Yeah.
And I was watching that and watching do that. And that was probably a year later. I was living in another place. So that first initial place I was in Wellington.
Okay, this is right.
Yeah. I moved to Christchurch. I was in a place by myself there, and some of my friends were hassling me about doing a tattoo. I know someone wanted a tattoo machine made. And I was like, oh, you know how to make one of those. So I made one up. And the guy never came back to get it. And I was just sitting around at my place. And my friends at the time were all always hassling me. You should tattoo me, tattoo. And, I was like, no. Then one night we were partying and I gave down, I gave one a tattoo and it turned out all right. And then another friend wanted one, another friend, and then
Okay.
it just grew from there. And I was using that machine for probably 3 years.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
people were
Wow.
entering shows, winning and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I'm using this like little piece of shit and that's like actually giving me results. And so I just tattooing.
Was it
And
intentional at the start, or
not,
was it just
not
like
really.
it was just technical?
It was just technical. And I was just doing it to survive, really.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job and I was like, didn't really have I didn't have any money. So people would maybe give me a bit of money or just give me things for tattoo.
Yeah.
So it helped me get by. And then I started making a little bit of money and saving it. I ended up getting the tattoo kit from Spalding and Rogers. They used to be the only thing you could really get back then that was a professional, they were professional gears. And you had to send away to the US for that and wait like 4 months until you got it. Then I started using that. And it kind of grew more and more from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, just technical. Like it wasn't really doing anything intentional or anything energetic or anything like that. It was just teaching myself how to tattoo.
I think it's an important starting point. Hey, it's just getting some technical ability,
Yeah. Mm.
but such a different time. Such a different time. People can just like, if they want to do a tattoo now, they can just get the gear and have the Instagram page, and it's happening.
Oh, yeah, it's all on the plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to make everything back then.
Yeah.
Now, every morning, soldering needles, making needles, even the tubes, the tips, would get like little, like tubing, like Mitre 10 or whatever back then and solder it onto the tube. But like everything had to be made. We cut our own springs.
Yeah.
Like, so it was hours doing that before you can think about tattooing.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. So when did it sort of move into the space that you're in now? Like when do you start becoming more aware of the nature of it? Like, was it through people you were tattooing, or did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a bit of both, I think. I guess, yeah, I just started seeing that happening with my clients. This is years later. And when I was getting more into, especially the Māori work, the Tamaka work, where you're using patterns that really do contain a certain energies and connections. And so when I was working on these people, I could see, things happening with them, that there was a shift would happen with them, or I can't really describe it. Like people, I mean, it wasn't just with the Tamaka, it was with a lot of all ranges of all styles of tattooing where people were coming back and look, that really changed my life, or something really happened after that, and just my understanding around it as well, and just talking to them about it. What does this mean to you? What's it bringing to you?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how is this going to affect you from now? Like, is this a pivotal moment in your life? And even if they didn't realize that, it was for them. So they come back and go, well, it really changed my life. It changed after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You learn a lot when the tattoos come back. Hey, and you listen. You're just like, I know for me, that's when I started getting more awareness around it. It's just
Mm,
literally getting that feedback from people and being like, oh, okay. So that's a potential that just happened for that person. Or,
mm, yeah. And
yeah.
then I started thinking, look, when I was a kid, I could see, like, I could see the vibration of things around shape, like a line vibrating around it. And sometimes when I was working on people, I would, this is where it really started to change for me. When I started because I moved into more just freehand, just drawing on the creating at the time. Nothing was created beforehand.
Yeah.
I waited till that would be it. And I would just let go. I wouldn't let any of my influence or anything happen to influence the design. Just let go and let what comes out. And sometimes I would see even the lines vibrating on their skin like this, and I just follow those shapes. Or I just let go and just start drawing, and whatever came out would come out. And it would always resonate with them. It would be something that, I don't know, just always worked the best way.
Yeah, so
Doing
that's
that.
just being more intuitive in the designing process. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you think it is like that you're connecting in with in that process? Do you think it's like their spirit that is influencing the design, or do you think it's maybe yours? What's the if you
Um,
were trying to put language to it, it's like you said, it's hard to
yeah,
describe
it's
these things, but
yeah, that's hard. It's, I kind of feel like the design is already there.
mm,
It's already there.
I thought you might say something like that, where it's like there's the energetic patterns there, it just hasn't been tattooed yet. Hey,
Yeah, yeah. It's what they need there is already designed. And it's just waiting for it to be manifested into a visual,
yeah,
into them. And I don't know, just when you're putting shapes on or have certain patterns and designs onto people, you're putting that, when you put it into their skin, it's now part of them. And if it's that design or that pattern already has a vibrational frequency that it's emitting, which shapes do, lines and shapes do. And now it's within their energy field.
their
It's now
field.
within them. So that vibrational frequency is now part of their vibrational frequency. And if it's a beneficial one, if it's something that's beneficial for them, it's raising their frequency.
Yeah, yeah,
It's adding to it.
yeah, totally. That's I think a lot of the time, if you can do that process of being present enough to intuit, like cleanly and clearly, it's like some higher version of them that wants the marking to be on or in their field, on their body and in their field to help them progress, right?
Yeah,
Through life or to guide them or whatever. But for myself, before I was aware of that intuitive aspect, so I wasn't as clean, like a lot of mind clutter, I've found with people coming back that it can go the other way. Like you said, the tattoo's already there for people, but if you're not clean enough to receive it, you can tattoo someone with something that isn't already there, and then that's in their field, and then
mm,
that has a result.
yeah, absolutely.
Goes the other
It,
way.
yeah, you've got to be aware of, constantly aware of what you bring to it. And I mean, because it's your energy that you're in and anything around them and them. I mean, the energy can be transmitted. It can be transformed. It can be infused. So while you're creating this pattern or this design or this tattoo on them, it's also been infused with what energy you're carrying.
Mm.
So this is really important to clear yourself of anything that that you could possibly bring into that session. And this is where with intentional tattooing or with the intention behind it, or even like this is why in the past the ancients used karakia and prayer and blessing and song while people were getting tattooed, because it was bringing that energy to that space and fusing as those lines are being created. It's infusing those lines with that energy.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's transmitted. It's transmitting that energy into it. It's like uh, it's everything. Science always measures material energy or physical energy, and like the quantity of energy. Where this is where we've got to look at it as the quality of energy,
Yeah,
and that's measurable as well. Like energy, emotions are energy, anger is energy, love is energy. All these different levels of energy which we create as a human, also measurable. And if it's energy, then energy can be stored. That can be, like I was saying before, it can be stored, it can be transmitted. So you
yeah,
can,
yeah,
like they store energy into a battery, we can transmit that energy, that positive energy, into the lines of that tattoo, into that shape.
yeah, yeah, completely. And I mean, and into so many different parts of it. It's like it's into the ink,
Yep,
into the cells.
yep,
Like you said, just
yep,
everything's kind of being like absorbed in that
yep.
space. You know,
I mean, a shape is vibrating at a certain energy, and it does. I mean, this comes, the ancients knew all of this. That's why they used certain shapes and sacred symbols in their work and whatever they were doing, whether it's
mhm.
tattooing or not, it was other reason. But they understood that shape emitted certain energies and frequencies, and some would be beneficial and some would be detrimental. And this is where they were used in magic and for healing, the law of resonance.
Yeah.
If a certain shape is similar to a shape in nature, then it's going to resonate with that. So bringing that energy from the physical world into that pattern, like you got two tuning forks and you bang one and it starts ringing, the other one starts ringing as well.
Yeah.
It's in resonance.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happening when you're creating certain patterns that are in resonation with the things in nature. And that's why so many of these ancient patterns have stayed the same.
Yeah.
For thousands and thousands of years, they've stayed the same because they're in resonance with
That's
the actual physical world.
Yeah, that's their link or their connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so we get a bit of a picture for the people listening. What's your background? What's your genealogy? Because you draw on different patterns from those lines.
Yeah. Well, a mixture. I'm obviously from New Zealand, and there's also other cultures in there with Scottish and Irish and Viking and stuff like that. So it's just, I'm a mixture of a whole lot of things. But I guess with a lot of it's just, I have more, nowadays it's more of an interest in bringing back the way things were. This is what's awesome about Maori culture, is that they've restored or
Revived
and restored and brought back before that nearly got lost, but it's here. And what we need to do is now as well is start bringing back other cultures' ancient ways of tattooing as well.
Yeah. Well, all humans should be, I feel, receiving in that way or have the option to, regardless of where we're from, right? Or what mix we are or the rest of it. So yeah, there are all those like cultural lines. But then I remember you saying you also did some study in another like geometric type of learning. I think it was like biogeometrics or something.
Yeah.
You said
yeah,
informed a lot of that relationship that you now have between energy and pattern.
Yeah. That really helped me understand what was happening and how shape emits energy. So it's an Egyptian knowledge. So the Egyptians, all cultures understood this. It just happened to be that these teachings were through an Egyptian knowledge.
Yeah.
But yeah, that those teachings kind of explained how shape creates and emits an energy and how it can be beneficial or detrimental, how it can affect the environment around it, how you can tweak it to be more powerful, and how you can, when you're designing it for someone, how you can match it to their frequency, how you can tweak it so that it's more beneficial for them.
Yeah.
Because everyone has their own frequency as well.
Yeah.
So they taught me things of how to measure that and how to read it with like this little tools that they're Egyptian tools. Some of them they're just like neutral tools that we can use to test the pattern that we've drawn. Does it resonate with this person at its highest, or can we tweak it a bit to make it even better for them?
Yeah.
You can test patterns to see if they're actually beneficial or detrimental to them.
Well, I mean, looking at that idea of like a detrimental pattern, and like you said, a lot of ancients have used geometry in all facets of life and creation, right? Not just tattooing, like building or painting or their textiles or whatever it happens to be, right? So the detrimental aspect, do you feel like, well, I mean, I feel like this, so I'd like to hear your opinion, that a lot of the way that our current societies have been structured, especially the physical manifestation of buildings and spaces and stuff, is more of those detrimental geometric layouts and shapes.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. These teachings actually went through that and how it's actually being changed. These buildings now are not emitting beneficial energies for us. We're not in resonance with them at all. Yeah. Like they would build buildings and structures back then that were emitting certain energies. So if they were building a place that was for a place for learning. They'd make sure it was emitting a beneficial energy that helps you learn
Yeah, right.
through the shapes that they put into that structure. Or with a healing place, they would make sure that that building in the designs or the layouts of the wall or whatever were emitting that healing energy. They did so many things. So it's the Egyptian thing, but all cultures had this with their artworks and their carvings and their symbols. There was a scientist, Louis Terrain or something, years ago. He went there and he developed this a machine or a tool that could pick up the vibration frequencies of the hieroglyphs. And then all there was like 12 different frequencies that these hieroglyphs
Resonator.
were emitting.
Yeah.
And so we've got to look at a design or a pattern like that, not just as a static, just like there. We've got to look at it like it's a circuit, that it's a circuit emitting energy. And what was noticed is all the heat when this guy was going around testing them. There were a lot of the hieroglyphs that had been hit. Someone had come along for a chisel and kind of cut it out of it, cut the line. And when he measured those ones, there was no energy coming from, like the circuit had been cut.
Yeah, right. Wow. Wow.
So so the understanding around this is that when you create a line or a shape, there's a motion frozen.
Yeah. The
So
movement.
it's movement frozen, like in the state.
Yeah.
So even though you create it and it looks like it's just sitting there, that could create that the whole action of creating it has created
Like a
an energy.
path or a direction for
Yes,
the
it's
energy.
got a centering point, which is the centering point of creation, and the shape of it emits a certain vibrational energy. And so energy is it's like you're creating a consciousness in the design.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if we look at animism, where the ancients, before shamanism, animism was a thing that folks believed in, which was that everything had a consciousness. Everything had energy or a soul or a spirit.
Yeah.
Stone,
Life force.
the tree, the stone,
Yeah.
sky, water. So in creating shape, you're creating a consciousness.
Totally. Totally. Or when you create a tattoo, I tell everyone I tattoo, like, whether they think I'm nuts or not, I'm like, your tattoos are alive. I say when I'm doing any type of singing or blessing or prayer or whatever, it's like, yeah, it's for you, but I'm talking to your tattoo because your tattoo's listening. And then,
And you're using it. You're
yeah,
using that as well.
totally, totally. But backtracking to the movement being frozen in time, I started becoming aware of that because I'd be tattooing people, and like, say I was doing a mandala, I'm always shading the rings in it in a direction where they'll fade out or they'll fade in. They're the only ways they can go. And I'd be having conversations and I'd be like, okay, this person's talking about wanting to like emit a particular energy, like say from their heart or from wherever.
Yeah.
And then without thinking, we just start shading it in the outward direction. And I was like, oh, like the tattoo literally is taking that on in its form. It's producing that same energy. Or if they wanted to like bring something in, draw something in, or like close up a space, protect it, I'd end up shading it in, but subconsciously. And I was like, oh, my hand's doing that direction. And I started to link that the way you put it in, your actual movement, like we were saying, has a big impact.
But the design is guiding you.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, once it's already created, so it knows what it needs to be, and it's guiding you to create it.
That is definitely another way to look at it.
You're you're the tool, you're the conduit, you're the thing that's bringing it into visual manifestation. So letting go, letting that happen, and listening and just letting it guide you is really important. And yeah, that's how I work with it. It's just letting it, let me know how to put it there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that answers our intuition question earlier, like what it is to be letting go and what's guiding it. It's like the tattoo's kind of guiding the whole process, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's informed by them. And then we as the artists kind of have to just let go of all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really important. So when I go, sometimes we're looking at a lot of, when you go to get tattooed nowadays, and there's a lot of, you go might be in a studio or shop being tattooed, and You know, this what's been talked about, even where the energy has been brought into that situation. Like in the corner, they've got UFC fighting on the
Yeah.
screen, and then they've got a certain music playing, or the person is just talking about how bad their relationship is and bitching about this or that. And it's like, wow, you're infusing all this stuff into this tattoo. Oh my God.
Yeah, totally.
And no wonder you feel uncomfortable. The person's receiving this tattoo that should be kind of helping them or shifting them. And it's like, you're actually being infused with all this other pollution. Huh?
Pollution.
Yeah.
Pollution, totally.
Yeah.
Totally, man.
You're polluting the design. You're polluting the,
Yeah.
patching.
Yeah, yeah. It's happening all the time, man. It's happening all the time. That's why
Need to be more conscious of that.
yeah. And the thing is, you can remember if you tune into your tattoo, all of those different things that have gone in.
Oh, absolutely.
It's,
Absolutely. And yeah. So that tattoo is triggering those memories.
yeah, yeah,
It's now a memory. It's now, and that tattoo holds them. And even that ink, them particles in the ink, because it's been abused, is now voiding their energy. And like you were saying before about our cells pick up on that, because our cells pick up on the vibrational frequencies in our environment, and then they react to it. The receptors on our cell pick up frequencies in our environment, and our cell responds to that environment. So if we've just put a design in there and carrying, and it's emitting this memory, this frequency, it's affecting our cells. It's literally affecting how our cells reproduce.
yeah, yeah. It's wild stuff, man. So cool. The other thing that I've been noticing you doing more of, or maybe not necessarily doing more of, but showing that you're doing it more, is the divination work that you do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you want to talk to that for a bit, I mean, I'm personally interested because I do a little bit of it, but yeah, I think you're potentially more well versed. Do you use it with your tattooing? That's kind of
Well,
specifically where I'm at. Do you use your divination tools within the tattoo practice, or is it just like a life tool?
both, yes. Sometimes, yeah, I'll bring it into the work or into when I'm working with the client. It helps with bringing awareness to what kind of energies we want to bring to that session. Sometimes it gives them a little bit more clarity around why they're there, even
Yeah.
why they're getting this.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, let's give a background on divination generally, because some people that are listening might not even have a context for what it is. But it's like divining, basically. So it's like communicating with something beyond the physical senses through a tool.
yeah. So depending on what tools you're using, there's lots of different ones. All cultures have different ways of using divination. But again, it's to do with symbology, it's to do with resonance. So the symbols and the symbolic value of the tools connect to, yeah, certain otherworldly, I don't really know how. I get stuck when I'm trying to explain, like, is that because I don't want to get caught in any kind of
You
religious
don't want to pigeonhole it. Yeah.
wording to confuse it with that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
if it connects with, yeah, the universal energies, it connects with your own higher self. So it's a lot of people and cultures that use it to predict the future will give information on what could come, but it's also used for just enlightening yourself really about around certain aspects or things that are going on with you or
Yeah.
things around you. Just, it's like a guidance trigger. It triggers your own inner guidance system to look at things differently or to examine things that you might not have seen it in a certain way. I find it really helpful. If sometimes you've got something kind of stuck on, or you, why can't I move through this, or what's going on with, I don't know, whatever in life or in yourself, and using the tools of divination helps kind of see things in a different way. It kind of brings other information. So it's like a catalyst to,
Like another angle, hey? Like you
yeah,
just see
yeah,
it from a different space.
yeah.
And what divination tools do you use? Like I mainly have used cards, like
Mm,
used the tarot. I haven't used runes before. I know that's another like common one that's
yeah,
around now.
yeah. I use cards. I use runes. I use Ogum or Om, staves or Fader. They're a Celtic version of like lucky runes.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
they're a Celtic version that the Druids use these for divination and for healing, for magic, for they all connect to the trees. Each rune is a different tree energy. But there's so many layers of it. Each rune has a different color, has a different energy, has a different other world concept, the oceanic concept, the mystery concept
Oh, wow.
that
Right.
you can associate whatever you're trying to work out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also used for writing. It was the earliest form of writing.
I was going to say it's another language.
Yeah.
It's a complete language, which, like any language, would take time to learn. How long did it
Yeah.
take you to get your head around using that type of language?
A long time.
Yeah.
I still am. I'm still there. Yeah, there's just so many layers in it. I think if with this sort of stuff, you are always learning
Yeah.
because there's more and more aspects that things can relate to or be pulled into the different, like if you're looking at tarot, different cards,
Yeah. Yeah.
different archetypes that the cards
Yeah.
represent.
And then we're also always creating it too. Like like if you're seriously learning it, I find you end up in a space where you're like creating too because everything's changing. So it's like if you're learning it, you almost have that responsibility to sort of keep it going as things
Yeah,
change, right?
yeah, yeah. Because a lot of it is intuitive. So you are assigning your own experiences and your own interpretations to each one of these as well through experience, through seeing what comes out, what happens after. And if there's a pattern that's evolving or growing, then you know that attributed to that symbol or that card or whatever.
Yeah.
So you gain your own knowledge. There's no real, I mean, there's basic concept and rules with these things, but a lot of it is developing your own understanding.
Yeah. I'm trying to get like for myself so that I have some more language when I'm working with people and being able to read their tattoos, trying to develop a little framework. So it's like a form of tattoo divination or tattoo mancy, which has
Yeah.
been really like enjoyable to do because it's a live, even that becomes its own living thing. So you start having this
Yeah.
feedback where it's like confirming things or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's fascinating.
I used to do a lot of scrying as well, which is,
Oh, yep.
I use smoke for that. It's kind of like scrying. If you don't know what it is. It's
Yep.
when you're just looking into something. It's like kind of a meditation, and I use smoke. I find that it works really well for me. So I burn baby on a charcoal, and I put different.
Oh, yep. Resin.
I put some pine resin on there, or some juniper or cedar, and I burn, and that's burning, and the smoke coming up, and then I have a candle there, and just staring into that in a kind of meditative state kind of brings. I don't like using the word answers, but like
Insight.
insights. Yeah,
Yeah.
insights.
Yeah.
Into what you're contemplating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, man. I haven't used smoke before. But funny you bring it up because last night I said I was out of range. I was up in like one of the ranges here, and this traditional couple were doing like a clearing on a friend's property, and
Yeah.
they did this smoking, and it was amazing, man. I haven't seen smoke worked with like that before.
Yeah.
Had all this really like wet bark that they'd been soaking for days, and it really burnt the fire down, and then they had this huge plume, just completely, if you stood in it, you'd disappear.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful to watch, hey? And then each person that stood in it, the smoke did a different thing.
Yeah.
Like regardless of the wind, it was
Yeah.
so amazing.
Well, it'll be responding to each individual's energy.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
And, the different shapes, the different things that come from smoke, that brings insights, it triggers things. And yeah, there's so much, but we hold so much information, we hold so much memory that we don't access. And not only we hold cellular memory, we hold bloodline memory, we hold spiritual memory, lifetime memory. So we carry our ancestors' experiences with us here now.
Yeah.
But we're not, most of the time we're not aware of it. And we carry all the information. We're part of everyone that came before us. We're literally the living part of everyone before us right now. We're the spearhead. We're the point
Yeah.
right now. We're the guardian of everyone before us. And we represent everyone that came before us. And so within us, in our DNA and in our cellular memory, we do hold in our energetic makeup, we do hold information and memory from our ancestors. And through these different ways of like divination or scrying or dream or meditation, whatever you're using, and just working, just being aware of it, you start receiving information and downloads, and they start coming to the forefront instead of just being sitting dormant in our, whether it's in our blood, our cells, our
Yeah.
DNA or
You
whatever.
activate it, you wake it up. Hey,
Yeah.
I think that's a big job of a big part of tattooing is waking that stuff up. Like
Yeah.
when you go into a tattoo and you're like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. And like, you want to be recognized from somewhere else by universal consciousness. You want
Mm.
that recognition. The tattoo starts to like wake all of that up
Yeah.
in a very
Yeah.
real way. But I think that's a perfect entry into the tattoo history stuff. We're talking about the fact that we are our ancestors. We sort of have access to all of that.
It's what what I think is important nowadays is to really bring awareness to everyone's own culture and what they get tattooed.
Yeah.
There's so many people from different cultures getting other cultures tattooing
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
not aware
Totally.
of their own culture's history. And so you've got a lot of Europeans getting Maori tattoo or Polynesian tattoo because, I mean, they're attracted to them. They like the tribal stencil, but they like their meaning, stuff like that, but it isn't theirs. And what we need to start bringing is looking at their own ancestors and their own prehistory and bring those pets forward to us and bringing that alive. Like Maori have kept alive their form of tattoo and their patterns and everything like that. So to other cultures need to do that. We need to bring it back so that we're representing those ancestors. And I think something that I've noticed as well in my work when I'm working with multicultural people, people with different bloodlines, I think bringing in the understanding of your own ancestors and acknowledging your ancestors is very important. And a lot of people that are of mixed cultures or mixed bloodlines will usually only represent one.
Yeah. Right. Like they'll
Like
pick.
they'll just choose one and that's my ancestors and ignore another line. The other line, especially when in recent history, that line has caused a lot of trouble, a lot of damage to their other culture. And what I like to help people understand is that, yeah, that's there and that's happened in recent history. And I mean, recent history as in like the last 2,000 years,
Yeah.
2,000 years or whatever. But we need to look back further to our ancestors before any kind of colonization of anywhere and look at what those ancestors were doing and how they lived and what tattooing they were doing and representing our ancestors at that level, not dismissing a bloodline within us because of recent
Wow.
history that have caused trouble. It's something we need to look further back, and because we are, whether we like it or not, part of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do we really need to acknowledge our whole self? We can't just acknowledge half ourselves or a quarter of ourselves or only that. How can we be whole if we're not even acknowledging our whole self? And so we need to acknowledge all our ancestors. They're
Yeah.
all standing behind us. They're all helping us. They're all standing there. So we need to acknowledge them or not just ignore. And so, yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff has happened in recent years, like centuries and a couple of thousand years or longer. But we need to, within that, find that everyone wasn't always bad. Not everyone did bad things. And not all cultures did bad things. And cultures have done things to each other all through history. But they're not usually because of their individual person, because of some of the higher leaders or religion or whatever
Something
that
else.
have been catalyst to bring this kind of disruption into place. And the thing with, say, with Western culture and how they're living now is that there's hardly any kind of concept of ancestral reverence in the culture anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's been so long that the ancestors probably can't even hear us now, even if we did try. But we've got to try and reconnect to them because there's,
I hear. That's super important, man. Look further back.
yeah, look further back than what the recent history is. A lot, yeah. And look, we can change, well, not change, we can't change what's happened, but what we are now, we are the representative of everyone before us. So do we keep coming together and acknowledging our own bloodline and walking forward with that, with a intention and a intention of walking together with this instead of division that's been created over all these years.
Yeah.
We need to walk together on this. Well, I've used an analogy sometimes when if you're only representing or acknowledging one line of your ancestors, then you're only rowing on one side of the boat, on the one side of the canoe. And if if you're not acknowledging the other side where they can be rowing as well, you're just going to keep going around in circles.
Yeah.
The more you're rowing on one side, it's going to keep going in circles. Nothing's going to go forward until you acknowledge all your ancestors from all bloodlines. Then you're all rowing together and you're going forward. Right.
That's a good one. I like it. I like it. Yeah. And I think you're right. There's probably so many people guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I don't acknowledge all of my ancestry, partly because it's hard to find. And that's the other thing. It can be hard to dig around and find those connections and stories. But I guess that's part of the work. You got to make it priority. Hey.
Well, that's right. And the cultures they've made so much ground on destroying cultures, and it doesn't matter what culture. Lots of the European cultures were destroyed a long time ago, pre-religion, pre-Christian, pre-Catholic. They attempted to wipe out those understandings and those belief systems in cultures, but there's still remnants of it that we need to really dig deep and find and connect to that. And bring back the old ways of our belief systems and just connecting to our ancestry and finding out what we're talking about tattooing and connecting to our ancestors and our culture through tattooing.
Yeah.
Trying to find out what we can. And there might not be very much left because it's been destroyed, it's been forgotten. Take what is left and grow it and create on that and bring it back in that way where it's, you might only be a few patterns left of whatever European culture or whatever culture over there, but start using them and then start growing on because when you start using them, it's going to start triggering memory around those symbolic representations that we can now grow on. It's going to start reconnecting us to the times back then. It's going to start opening us to create more designs that relate to them.
Totally.
We'll start remembering.
Yeah, it gives me, I see a visual analogy of like there's just a seed left or just a cutting of a plant, but you can grow like so much from that,
Yeah.
if you just
Then it's
plant
our
it.
responsibility to do that now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Just plant it.
whatever it is, no matter how small it is, we grab it and we honor it, we bring life to it, and then we grow it, and we grow on it, and we create more from it. But that's where it starts from, that seed. We're not taking it from someone else's culture. We don't need to do that. We can grow our own.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's so good. You kind of just went through the list psychically and answered a whole bunch of the last questions I had there. I was like, what do you think is the most important thing for people to think about now and bring awareness to? Which I think you've nailed that with the ancestry side of it, and bringing that into their tattoos. And then the other questions were around like first tattoos. And I think that the ancestry piece relates really heavily to that too. If you're going to sort of start this tattoo journey, having an awareness of who you are going into it's probably fundamental. Yeah, that's great. I can feel some new tattoos coming on. You've activated
Yeah,
something. That's good.
yeah.
That's good.
And it's good to bring that up to your clients as well. Like if they're not sure if they're coming to you with another culture's kind of style, it's actually like, let's went and connect to your what and a lot of people don't even know the genealogy, but what what kind of thing we should bring some of your people into this.
Mm-mm.
And I've done this with so I work on a lot of Maori and a lot of Maori mixed as well. They've got English or Irish, Scottish, and Croatian, and there's a lot of animosity here with the other, yeah, even their own ancestors. Like they're like, fuck, I'm part English. Oh fuck, and rightly so. But we've got to kind of honor and not just think that you're that. That part of that culture's history is what you don't have to represent that. You don't have to be that. You're not that.
Yeah, you're the
You
new,
know, and
the
yourself right
spearhead.
here now. You're not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
important conversation, important direction to take with people. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's so good. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to ask about was cover up tattoos. And I guess maybe a good way to go about it would be like, have you had any tattoos covered yourself?
no,
Nothing. Wow.
no, because I mean, there's been times in my life where I've considered it. Like there's a couple that are like, oh, I gotta go. And then I stop and go, hang on, I got that thing for that reason. It's like it's part of me. It's part of my journey. It's part of my story. It's part of what I'm vibrating now. And it's not. It's like if I was keeping a diary all my life, I wouldn't go back to that date and rewrite it. Like I wouldn't go back and rewrite a day or a week in my life because like my memory of it isn't, I don't want to know about it. It's what happened. It's part of my journey to here.
Interesting.
So, and just that, because a couple of them that I have thought of a long time ago, like, oh, we should cover that. Like, and now they're like real old, like faded and old and stuff. And it's like, that's part of it. It's part of me. And I guess that it's different I'm not saying this is what everyone should do because they obviously people have tattoos on them that they just, it's not right for them. They don't want their imagery on them or whatever.
Yeah.
Mine aren't that crushing for me. It's just, I don't really, I mean, I've covered them, but it's like,
But there's nothing there that's too negative or
nah,
triggering or whatever. Yeah.
nah,
I'm with you.
no.
I'm with you.
And I mean, I understand that, that people would want to do, and that's okay to change that vibration of that symbolism that you're carrying.
That's it.
You are changing like you're changing yourself and changing the vibration, your frequency, your own frequency. So,
Yeah.
and that needs to happen with a lot of people that have gotten stuff done that are like, oh my, you've totally changed, especially racial ones or.
Yeah. Proper negative vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Nice, man. Cool. Is there anything else before we wrap it up, because we're hitting that hour mark, that you want to put into the conversation for people that have been listening to it? And also direct people to where they can find yourself as well if they want to see your work. I'm going to have all links there too, but
Yeah, no, I think what I've just been talking about is kind of at the moment I can't see that anymore.
yeah, cool.
But to find me, my website is ancestortattoo.com. My Instagram is Shane Tattooer, so ShaneTattooer. My email is the same as that, shanetattooer@gmail.com. But it goes.
I'll put the links up. I'll put the links up anyway so people can click and go through and have a look. And I just want to say thanks for your time, for sharing, man. And for everyone listening, definitely have a look at Shane's work because it's very technically sound and beautiful work that he does. And as you have heard, he has a very sound awareness for what's happening energetically in the exchange as well. So Shane's up in Brizzy, eh? You're in Brisbane at the moment.
I'm on the Gold Coast at the moment.
Yeah.
I work in Brisbane and around the area. And, after the borders open, I'll be back traveling again, which I miss so much. I can't, it's killing me not being able to move around and get to places and travel.
Yeah.
But I just want to say as well, just add before we stop with where you were saying, I have looked at my work and stuff. Cool. Yeah. I've got a lot of work online. But I just wanted to mention that a lot of the work that I do where I'm working with certain people in the healing aspect of receiving tattoos and or connections, a lot of the work that I do around that, I post on
Yeah.
on my online stuff. So you're not going to see a lot of that kind of work because it is private to them and it's a sacred thing. It's a sacred. I go through a lot of ceremony with this when I'm doing that kind of work. Depending on the level of what we're doing, some people just come to get tattooed. They don't want to go through all this too much ceremony around it. Some people do, and I like to bring that. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I do around that isn't actually posted on my.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm very similar now as well. Probably a few years back, I just stopped posting a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like only when the person kind of wants that does it happen now. I'm just reposting old photos now.
Yeah.
Because they're already out there.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just put a note in here too for everyone listening with what Shane just alluded to is just be respectful of everything that you do see. It's fine to like see people's work online and appreciate it, but not drawing on other people's tattoos and their own stories. That sort of happens way too heavily these days. So just find the appropriate person to work with. And like we spoke about at length earlier in the chat, what you're going to get's already there. So just trusting that process. And when you look at other artists' work, like when I direct people to look at someone's work like Shane's, it's just so you can see what they produce, the quality of what they produce. And like we're saying, everything has a resonance. So when you see someone's work, if it looks good to you and it feels good, that's a great indicator of someone that you could potentially work with, not to pick a tattoo like you would in a catalog. It's not where it's at anymore. So, but I think most people listening to this will get that, but I think it is a good thing to just touch on anyway. So, Shane, man, thanks for the chat. So good. I'm going to stop the record and I'll let you know when it's all up and happening.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Thanks, man.
No, you're welcome, man. Cool.